Hey guys, welcome to Cricket Fanatics Magazine. I'm Khalid, your host of this daily news show. So, this is going to be an interesting conversation that we have for you today. Now, we're talking about major talking points in South African cricket. And this particular person that we're going to be speaking to today made headlines all around the world. And of course, because he was a former South African under 19 cricketer. So a lot of people actually felt some sort of affiliation to him and knew who he was. I mean, me, myself, I'm going to talk about my experience. Obviously, I saw Curtis Campher, and I'm talking about Curtis Campher, and I saw him first at the Kai Majola week back in 2017, and I remember doing the report and having an interview with him and Joshua Richards after the game that I was talking about, and he was actually named hero of the day for that particular match. And if I talk about that figures that he took 6 for 20 in that match, and it was against obviously a very strong border team with the likes of Sinitema Klashile was in that side, and of course we know that he was one of the stars of that tournament, and of course he hit a 48 not out, and I will never forget that day because I was like, finally we're finding more opportunities of guys that are all-rounders in a country that is struggling to produce a lot of all-rounders. So and then something massive happened, and obviously he played for Ireland, and we all know that he moved to Ireland and he plays for Ireland now, and he played against England, which is considered the best team in the world when it comes to white ball cricket. And unbelievably, he rose his bat, 250s in that series, he took wickets as well. Amazing performance, and I got DMs from everybody. Why has Curtis moved to Ireland? And why is this happening? And how come we didn't keep on to him? And so forth and so forth. But it's not for me to decide, and it's not for me to tell you his story. So I'm going to bring him on into the stream so that he can tell his story to you guys. So without further ado, welcome to the show, Curtis. How you doing, bro?
Good. Thanks to yourself. Thank you so much for the introduction and also just taking the time just to interview me.
Yeah, no, I had to hear your story. I mean, I've been tracking your career for quite some time, but I just want you to give some insight into your background and a little bit tell us a little bit about yourself and obviously how you came up through the system in South Africa first before your move.
So I went to a prep school at St. Peter's Prep, and then went over to St. Stephen's Boys College and played under 13 Gauteng, and under 15 played 17 Bs, and then when I was 17 made 17 As, captain that side, and we did really well. And I think throughout my high school journey, just went through the age groups and was fortunate enough to play a lot of first team cricket with a lot of talented guys and just learned a lot from them, to be honest. And then played Coke Week in my under 19 year, and played S under 19 when I was in matric, and then first year out of school. Basically, that was kind of it, and then moved to Tux and got into that system of high competitiveness and just quality cricketers there. And basically, in between that, there was training with the Irish squads and playing a bit of games against them and getting to know them and getting to know that environment.
Mm. So, I mean, let's just talk about the major question that everybody actually wants to know. Your reason, obviously, for moving, and how it was possible for the guys that don't really know how it's possible that a South African can play for Ireland.
So the first thing was I have an Irish passport. Got that from my late grandmother. We applied for it when I was young. I must have been 7 or so, 6 or so. My mom sorted our passports out for our whole family and got onto that, and she really did that. And then later on, towards the end of my high school career, Wim Jansen at Saints, the Irish side came to come train at Saints, and I kind of bowled him, and it was kind of just an option to go over there and play some club cricket and kind of just learn and develop my game. And then 2 years later, kind of the national side came again, and Kruger van Beek organized me to play against the national side, and I met Graham Ford, the head coach, and we kind of just hit it on from there, and I met some of the guys, and it was just an amazing experience and a serious privilege to be part of their environment in that beginning phase of my career. And then basically from then on, last year got offered an emerging contract and decided for me it's the best move in terms of my career, my livelihood, and just where I felt I needed to be and go, basically.
Yeah, so was it purely just a cricketing decision from your part where you thought that you can play international cricket sooner playing for Ireland than you could have played for South Africa? Is that one of the reasons that you made the decision?
I'd say so. I felt like I really wanted to play international cricket, I had this opportunity to get into the Irish system and make an impact there. And I really enjoyed my time with them, and I felt really at ease and at home with them, and to come over here and to be in Europe and experience the experiences I've had so far. I wouldn't change it for the world. I think it's been amazing growing curve and learning curve for me to challenge myself in a different aspect and take on some new challenges, which I've felt has been really good for me personally. Away from the cricket side, I felt it's been good for me, and that was my biggest thing, is trying to grow myself and have these adventures and make myself who I am basically to the world.
So I think that a lot of people can learn from maybe your journey and obviously being in the South African system before you moved, obviously. Can you maybe give us some insights into that? How did the coaches help you over here with regards to being an all-rounder? How did you become an all-rounder? And how did you focus on both disciplines? What was key for that?
There's a lot of questions there. I'll try to break it up as much as I can. But basically, being an all-rounder started in the back garden with my brother, trying to bowl bowl as well as I can to get him out and bat as long as possible. It never really helped that he was 4 years older than me and I was forever bowling. But yeah, I just always wanted to be part of the game, and that's kind of how I like to be as an all-rounder. I never like to be out of the game. So that's where being an all-rounder kind of, or for me, grew. As I didn't like sitting on the sideline. I didn't like not bowling. I didn't like not batting. So that for me was the biggest thing. And then breaking the question up about the disciplines of batting and bowling, I think it's a tough one, because a lot of all-rounders around the world face the same fact of sometimes you're not classified as a bowler, sometimes you're not classified as a batter, and sometimes you're not in the batters meetings, and sometimes you're not in the bowlers meetings. But it's about kind of, when one's going well, to ride it, but also focusing on doing the one that's not going well at the same time, and making sure that you give enough time for both of them to develop in as much way they can. So in the first couple of years, towards the end of my high school career, I was picked as a bowler only, basically, and batted at 9. Sometimes just went there and kind of played first team. And as a junior, you're happy just to go along to the first team games and gain the experience. And I think developing that side of your game of, sometimes you get picked as a bowler and then sometimes you get picked as a batter is really big, because to know that you can make it in the side as just a bowler is really big for me. And I took that as a big heart. And then I just kept working hard on my batting and making sure that I always had that as a backup. And it came through to me on a number of occasions at Coke Week and in England against the 19s and stuff like that. And in a warm-up game before Coke Week, I scored probably one of my best hundreds I've scored. And for me, I kept having that as a backup. And then over the last 2 years or so, it's kind of shone through to me that my batting's been really growing, and I've been taking a lot of responsibility. And yeah, just kind of making sure when one's going well, not to neglect the other one, because a lot of guys get caught up on the one aspect and forget about the other one. So I think for all the young cricketers out there, just to make sure that you're giving all three facets actually of your game. Fielding is a massive one, to make sure you're giving all three as much time and as much chance to grow and as much, shall I say, practice as it needs.
Yeah. So obviously there's a lot of talk in South Africa about South Africa producing all-rounders like you. There's been a lack of it with regards to that in the system at the moment. There's a lot of talk about that. Do you think that there's enough development done in the school system, etc., in South Africa, or at the provincial level in South Africa to grow all-rounders in this country?
I wouldn't say there's a shortage of all-rounders, to be honest. There's a lot of guys that are coming through the systems, Vian Mulder, Ruan de Swart, those guys. Pet Lacroix has been doing it for years already, but those two guys are around about my age and their quality. I think right now, it's quite hard fitting them into the sides in terms of getting that progression into high up and knocking onto the door of SAA and that kind of thing. And I think once those guys get those opportunities to perform, I think Vian's done a little bit and showcased it a bit, and Ruan de Swart at first class levels really shone. And I think those guys, there's all-rounders all around the country. I think it's about just giving them the time to kind of break onto the scene. And I think that's the biggest thing. You can't expect guys to just like walk up and do it. You got to give them a year or two to develop and learn their game. And I think that's what's happened for those guys. And being an all-rounder, there's always going to be injuries, and I think those guys have been faced with injuries. So I think that's the biggest thing. I think
Yeah.
for the school systems, the biggest thing is that getting them into first class systems as fast as possible, and getting them learning and from the senior guys that have played a lot of red ball and a lot of first class cricket. And I think the sooner the cricket guys that are coming from school cricket can go into the first class systems and learn from the guys above them, the better they'll become cricketers.
Yeah. So I'm going to ask you to touch on how Ireland helped you with regards to preparing for international cricket. But can I first ask you, do you think that our systems over here in South Africa have prepared you guys well enough to take that step up? How big is that step up between playing provincial cricket, etc., and also playing under 19 cricket to actually going ahead and playing international cricket? Because you looked so at ease at the crease, and you look so at ease with the ball in hand.
Yeah, it is a massive step up, and I think the biggest thing is the onus is on the players to the way they train. I think ability wise, I think wouldn't say there's no difference, but there is a difference. But it's the difference between international cricket, first class cricket, club cricket, and stuff like that is the ability to guys repeat their performances over and over again. I think talent's always there, but it's about how hard guys work and put in those extra hours and really concentrate on the way they bat and bowl. Yeah, that's what I could say in terms of that. I think guys are there and thereabouts, but I think what defines people that do well a little bit higher up is their consistency in performance and the way they train.
Mm-hmm. And with regards to Ireland, I mean, how great has the environment been? Obviously, everybody wants to talk about them being underdogs, but they've put in so many great performances over the years, and for you to be a part of that now, how has that helped you towards the way you performed obviously in those 3 ODIs?
Oh, it was, I could say, massive. I think coming from South Africa and moving over here, it's been really, really easy for me. I didn't think it was going to be this easy. I think everyone's been really friendly and stuff like that. And in terms of the squad, you've got such experienced guys that have been there for years, and you've got a bunch of 4 or 5 of us that are between the ages of 19 and 23, which is unheard of really for international cricket, which is really exciting for the Irish setup. I think the mix between the youth and the experience, and the way the young guys are really pushing the old guys, not old guys, but the experienced guys, and the way they're performing. I think it's been crazy so far to be part of that environment, and the way we're learning. And each day I can see us getting better, and the communication and the professionalism. I think we had guys that weren't in the 14-man squad that were waking up in the morning and going for runs and into the gym and hitting balls where they could. And I think that's what's made us a good squad so far, and trying to get us to push more performances like that and not make it a once-off. And in the last 2 series, we beat Afghanistan and we beat West Indies in games. We didn't win the series, but I think for us, the more times we can keep putting those results out, then the better we can keep having these competitive training sessions, and the professionalism that the guys have. It's going to be massive for us as Irish cricketers. We're trying to get to the stage where we could be in qualifying for World Cups without going to the qualifiers and stuff like that. And I think that's the stepping stone we want to be, and kind of the journey we want to take. Is we're not here just to full numbers. We're here to play cricket and to produce and entertain to the crowds.
Yeah. So you're walking out to the middle, team's in trouble, and it's against the world champions. And you like, how do you deal with that? Like, what goes through your head? Like, as a young cricketer?
It was weird. Not being any crowd there, or not being any noise. I think that made it a little bit easier for me just to kind of normalize the situation and just say, you know what, it's another game of cricket. He's a left arm seamer. You faced them before. You know what I mean? Having Kev there was a massive plus. I think he calmed me down really well, and he just said, you know what, he's a left arm seamer. He's trying to hit the stumps. Just make sure you're in a good position and you'll be fine. And yeah, got through that, and then from then just batting with him made it a lot easier. He was moving well, and he'd scored 100 in the warm up game. So, you know, it was just a matter of time of just absorbing the pressure and then kicking on. I think the biggest thing was just making sure I didn't give my wicket away, and you know, fortunately I didn't do that, and we got to a total which I thought we should have got to a lot more. But you know what I mean, it is what it is. At the end of the day, it's a game of cricket. It was a bit frustrating because all the guys have put so much hard work in, and for us to be 28 for 5 or 2, it just wasn't us, to be honest. And I think in the last ODI it showed that the amounts of work we've put in, and that's kind of the quality we want to expect day in and day out, and hopefully we can do that for the next couple of years.
Anything from the South African culture that you've taken into the island dressing room?
Everyone says that the South African culture of fighting and making sure you're always in for a battle, but I think I've always had that. That's been my biggest thing as a cricketer. I've never been the most talented. I've never been the guy that has the best technique or who bowls rapid or that kind of thing. I've always been a guy that just never backs down from a fight, and I think that's what I've tried to bring into the setup, which a lot of guys in the setup have it already. But I think it's just been nice for us young guys to all have the same drive and want to get better. There's a few guys, me, Harry Tector, Josh Little, Gareth Delaney, we're all pushing and trying to make sure we cement spots in the side and make sure we grow, kind of take Irish cricket to the next level. And I think that kind of hunger for us to do well and win games and make sure we always competing has been really good for us in training, and it's lucky it's come off in the games.
I hope you off the field you're teaching them how to braai.
Yeah, it's something I'm still getting used to. The weather's not the same and the climate's not the same, but they have a queue. They call it barbecues. So we do go over for a couple of barbecues. But yeah, I've been whooping up the braai, but to be honest.
Okay, cool. That's awesome. So I'm gonna get into two questions from a fan that has come in at the moment. If you guys have any more questions, please put them in the comment section. Excellent start to your ODI career, Curtis. How excited are you to potentially play the longer format for Ireland?
I think that will be a dream come true. Not looking forward too much and kind of counting my chickens before they hatch. But if I get the opportunity to play red ball cricket, I'd love it. It's something that I feel like is the purest form of cricket, and to test yourself at test level is something against the world's best would be unbelievable for me, an amazing opportunity. And hopefully there could be something at the end of this year or next year. I know there's talks about being test next year, so hopefully we can get that up and rolling and hoping that goes ahead basically in the next future, and I can be a part of the squad. But for me, it's going to be one of my next goals, to be honest.
Yeah, because I mean, there's a criticism. There's a criticism basically in the public in South Africa. I'm going to go back to South Africa again. Obviously, this is a South African channel, but that school kids or school boys don't get to play the longer format enough. Do you have any maybe a tip on how we can improve our system so that young guys can play the longer format much earlier? Is there any way that South Africa can improve that?
I think both Ireland and South Africa, all systems really around the world, struggle with getting the longer format into schools and into first class cricket. And I think it's tough because, one, the age of bowlers and stuff like that, they can't bowl long spells. You know what I mean? The more longer cricket you play, you can't have 15-year-olds, 16-year-olds bowling 20 over spells because their body's just not developed. There's going to be so many injuries. But I think that there has to be some way to play more time cricket, more two-day cricket. And I think it's easy to say now, but when you're in the school system, you know what I mean? You don't want to be giving 2 days up to be playing two-day cricket. Back then, you'd rather play 2 T20s or 3 T20s. But I think it's something that has to be addressed. It's the way forward, and everyone's talked about, longer format, and that's where you want to be playing cricket. I know it's for people that don't watch cricket, it's not the most entertaining cricket, but if you understand cricket, you understand the reason behind it and the importance of it. It teaches. You can have test cricketers going to play ODIs and T20s, but you can't have T20 cricketers or T20 cricketers struggle to go on to play the longer format, which shows how difficult it is. And I think the more both systems or all systems around the world can put in red ball cricket, I think cricket will benefit from it in the long run.
Cool. How's the COVID situation in Ireland at the moment? What's been your go-to routines to stay fit?
So we were away for 3 weeks, but there's been a bit of a spike in Ireland, in Kildare and a couple of places just outside Dublin, with about 200 cases, but it's been normally down to about 10 or 15 cases. So it's almost back to normal, I would say. So we've been going to the high performance center and having temperature checks and stuff like that and being able to train. So for us, there hasn't been really any issue about staying fit because we've been able to train for the last about 3 months, basically, since I've arrived. So we've been up and doing fitness sessions and in the gym at the high performance center. So for me, really, it's been about going and meeting with the guys and training basically. But for back home in South Africa, I know a lot of cricketers have been giving workouts and trying to just make sure we're doing as much as possible, because I think in a time like this, guys have the opportunity to lose weight and get into a nice routine and put themselves in the right foot. And I think you got to do in this day and age, you got to do all that you can to make sure that you're unpickable, like not pickable or not pickable, basically, like making sure you're, I don't know how to put it out there, but make sure that you're like, there's no reason for them not to pick you, basically, and making sure that you're giving them every reason to pick you, and fitness is one of them.
Cool. Last question, and that is this is also one because I also want to know this. A batsman from the past you'd like to bowl to, and a bowler from the past you'd like to face, maybe from South Africa, maybe one of your friends from back in the day not back in the day, from a few years ago that you want to see or face when you play South Africa.
Taking me a bit off guard. A batsman I'd love to bowl to. I really enjoy bowling to one of my mates from school, Josh Richards. He plays for the Lions. Yeah. I love to bowl to him because I know he's really quality, and he enjoys facing me too. So it's always a good challenge. And a bowler from the past I'd like to face. When I was in about grade 9, I played for the first team, and Brandon Glover was the quick then, and he plays for Northampton and the Netherlands. And it was a bit frightening being 15 and facing him bowling pretty quick clicks. So it'll be nice to face him now, and I'm looking forward to facing him in the future because it's going to be a really good challenge. And we're mates, so it always makes it a bit better to kind of have mates to bowl to and mates to bat to, and it just adds a bit of banter to it.
Cool. Thanks a lot, Curtis, for coming on the show and giving us a little bit about your backstory and the reason for your move, etc. I hope I can speak to you again in the future sometime, and thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
No problem, man. See you. So, guys, that's all we have for you for today. I thought it would be an interesting conversation for you guys to have, to talk to Curtis, to get to know his message, to get to know what his reasons for moving, and to hear it from him himself. So there was a lot of questions that I was getting about this particular topic, and I thought this would be an awesome time for you guys to maybe give an opportunity to chat to him. So thanks a lot for this episode, for joining in, and for joining in every single day for this new show that I'm trying to do. Click on the like button, of course. Comment in the comment section below. Share this with all your friends and family. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Click the notification bell. And as well, what you need to know, please download the latest issue of the magazine. You can see that the link is on the screen, or you can go to the bottom in our description, in the comment section below, and in the description, you can find the link there too. Please subscribe for the latest issue, get the previous issue, etc., and you'll get the new one at the end of this month. Thanks a lot for tuning in, guys, and we'll see you again tomorrow.